Now, tonight's lecturer is a best-selling magic author. He runs his own magic school. He's here to tell us about his impromptu seeming effects with magic, mentalism, a bit of cards. You know who he is. Put your hands together. A huge welcome for, of course, Christian Grace!
Hello, hello. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. What a warm welcome. It's an absolute honor to be here lecturing at the Magic Circle and to see so many familiar faces turn up. I also want to thank everyone who's joined on Zoom or anyone who might be watching this in the future on the recording. As Marcus mentioned, I have an online magic school called Magic Monthly, where I share some of my favorite original card magic. And tonight I've cherry-picked a few of the tricks that I lecture or have been lecturing this past year, and a couple of new bits, maybe some tools for the toolbox, so to speak. But without further ado, let's start with something so improbable, I want it to feel impossible, even a little bit magical. So we'll start by just bringing your attention to the cards, and I want to stand in a place where it's not booming. Just let me know if there's problems with the audio. So the Two of Hearts happens to be on the face of the pack. If I shuffle the deck, even just the slightest bit, can anyone here tell me the exact location of that same card? No, right? Even I wouldn't know, and I wouldn't put money on it, because we inherently know that every time the cards are shuffled, the positions of the cards change. Anyway, I can shuffle this deck to my heart's content, but better be better if I bring some down and get you guys shuffling too. Do you mind helping me out? Take these, give them a little mix for me. Go ahead, I'll just spread these out. Hold on to those. Do you want to help? Give us a round of applause for our shufflers. And whilst they're doing their bit, I'd like to invite one of you on the stage with me, someone who wants to be on the stage, perhaps who has a phone with them, preferably an iPhone, because we're going to use the stopwatch on the iPhone. And the stopwatch is nice big on the iPhone. So put your hand up if you're there. Yeah. Pierre, welcome him up. So do you want to just go stand on that red dot there? And you happy? I'll take these back. Nice one. Put them face up here. Yeah? In fact, actually, put them back, whoever gets there first. Yeah? And there's some over here as well. One more round of applause for the shufflers. So Pierre, this is our shuffled pack. And you are going to have the last shuffle, because this is really important. What we're going to do is something so improbable, but it's based around you and your decisions. Did you bring up your stopwatch?
I brought my phone with me.
Your phone. Just pop it there for a second, and I want you to have the last shuffle. So cut about half the cards for me. Thank you. And from the position at which you cut, we're going to weave these halves together. So please bring up your stopwatch. We're going to time this. It's going to be really fun and exciting. Now, this isn't a perfect weave, but it doesn't matter. As long as you understand that had you have cut one card less or one card more, we'd have different cards going into different cards. Okay, so now's the best bit, right? Could you just square the deck, just gently push the cards together? This is his shuffle from his cut. Thank you, that's perfect. That's perfect. And I'll just square them up like this. So stand on that red dot so everyone can see. Can everyone see this as well? Is this in view? We're going to time your decisions. We're going to whittle down the cards randomly to one playing card and just go with the first thing that comes in. So if I said to you pizza or pasta, what would you say? Exactly. Even if you loved pizza or pasta, in the moment you went with the first thing that came in. Go ahead, press start for me. In a deck of cards, there's numbers and there's pictures. Just say the word numbers or pictures out loud. Whatever you say, we're going to imagine removing. Okay, so if we imagine removing the numbers, that leaves jacks, queens, and kings. What do you prefer, jacks, queens, or kings?
King.
Do you want this to be a red king, or do you want it to be a black?
Black.
Okay, so this is the last choice down to two cards, the king of clubs or the king of spades.
King of clubs.
So I'm going to lock in that. Remember, king of clubs. So in 24 seconds thereabout, you generated the king of clubs. And different people say different things in different times, right? Had I have got Clive up here, you might have got rid of the picture cards, chosen a 7, and you might have done it in 10 seconds, right? People have different paces. But here's the beautiful thing. You don't know the order of those cards. We all shuffled them. You had the last shuffle. But somewhere in that deck is the king of clubs. Somewhere in that deck is the king of clubs. And you did it in 24 seconds.
No.
Woo! It's exciting. I feel sick. It's probably not there. In fact, there's 51 chances it's not at that position, and there's only one chance that it is. I don't want to touch the cards. Could you pick up the deck for me? We're looking for the 24th card, so face up one at a time.
Okay. So 1,
Yes.
2,
3, 4.
5.
This is why I got a beer.
7, 8, 9,
9,
10, 11, 12, 13, 14,
15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Stop there. The next card is the 24th card. King of
King of
clubs. King of clubs. Show them.
King of clubs.
Give it up for Pierre. Thank you so much. You can keep that phone as a souvenir, no problem. Oh, we're cooking. Oh, I love cooking. Cooking with cards. Oh. So, I think I'll perform a little bit more and then I'll start explaining. Are you happy with that? Okay, good stuff. So I want to actually gift this deck to one of you. I have grown quite attached to these because I've had them with me for the past 3 weeks. They've given me a lot of love and joy, so the next person that comes up will get to keep these. But again, I want to propose something. I want you to think about this. You know, literally everything around us right now. The clothes that you're all wearing, the seats you're sitting in, this building we're standing in. Everything, at one point in time, never even existed. Think about that, right? But there's one thing that all these things have in common, and that's they all started as a thought. You know, someone somewhere had an idea and managed to manifest it into reality. So these are the power of thoughts, and I want to sort of test this tonight in a very fun way. Nick, would you like to help me with this? Yeah. Come on up, give him a round of applause. In fact, I'll put you in the hot seat. Do you want to just sit here? Yes, please, in the hot seat. This is more about you than it is about me, and I get well excited when I do this. So Nick, we're going to play with a thought. Nothing too serious, nothing scary, just a playing card. So, in fact, go ahead, just call stop. Stop. I'm sorry. There's lights in my eyes. I realized I'm looking at the cards, and I don't want to see the cards. So perhaps not this one, because I've seen it. Just look in and remember one. Did you get one? You got one?
Yeah.
Good. I kind of slowed down towards the end there, so do you mind giving them a quick shuffle as well?
Yep.
Mix it around so we know what it is, but we don't know where it is, and that's what's important. Mixy, 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 mixy. So we're playing with this thought, so when you're done, just drop them in the middle here.
Yep.
And in fact, take hold of everything. Just hold on to it for a moment. So this is the power of a thought, right? Only you know this secret thought, because only you saw and chose what card you wanted, right? No cameras behind you, right? This is just me and you here. But I really want you to commit to this, and if you do so in such a way where you really see the things I asked you to see, I might be able to see them too. So there's nothing on my hand, okay? I just want you to stare at my hand here, and I want you to imagine your card facing you here, just on my hand. I want you to just start to see that card, see the amount of detail on it. An ace would have very little detail, for example, whereas a king has loads of detail, right? So you're just imagining how much detail you see on that card. Make the color nice and bright. And just start to see, you see, I can see it, and so I'm starting to form this up. And you have to be honest with everyone here, because you're the only person that knows this. You're seeing hearts here, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's, yeah, I see it as clear as day. There's eight hearts. You think of the 8 of hearts.
Yes.
There we go. But nothing on my hand. This is so exciting, Nick. Okay, so you thought of the 8 of hearts, and you transmitted that thought to me.
Yeah.
But you know it's in there somewhere. So I tell you what, just start dealing the cards to the table. You can deal them singly or in clumps, and just stop somewhere in the middle. You can flip them if you like. Nice. You felt it there, didn't you?
Yeah.
This one or this one?
This one.
Okay, flip it face up and put it there. Ah, the Joker. Interesting. Okay. Just drop those on top for me, and square everything up and pick up the cards in your hands. And I told you I wanted to gift this pack to someone, and you are that someone, Nick. You're going to keep these cards, and I want you to keep them because I want this to serve as a reminder of a positive thought. And remember that positive thoughts are the seeds that we can use to make the changes we want to see in our lives. Just like the change that's about to happen in your hands. In 3, 2, 1. Spread the deck. Can everyone see that? Maybe the overhead? Are you not entertained? Yeah, here we go. Thank you, mate.
Wow. Thank you.
These are for you.
Thank you.
I'll leave it face up as a reminder. Just square it up, pop them in the box. And one last round of applause for Nick. I might bring you up for the explanation in a bit, but just hold on to those for a moment. So, I'm going to break down these two tricks, both of which, although I wouldn't normally perform them back to back in a set, so to speak, I love for different reasons. And I don't know, there's certain things that I want to cover within the effect as well, and then I'll talk about other tools that I like to use from these effects. So where to begin? So the first effect I showed you was an any card at any number, and I particularly love this any card at any number because it's the only one where both the card and the number that's generated are of significance to the spectator. In a normal kind of any card at any number, you get someone to name a card, someone names the number, and the number is given the meaning of dealing down to it. Whereas here, we're actually having someone generate a playing card in a specific time. And it's all based around their choices, and it all comes together for an absolutely impossible moment. So in terms of crediting, I first read this effect, the bare bones of this effect, in Ollie Mealing's chat series. It was a trick called Stopwatch, which I believe he published well over a decade ago. It's the first time I kind of saw it. And what I wanted to add to this effect was the important variable of shuffling. So this is called Stopwatch Shuffled, and it's based on his original effect. But I wanted to add the shuffling into it because I realized that the shuffling itself as a variable makes the outcome even more impossible for me as the performer as well. It brings me onto the exact same level as you in terms of that final reveal. You know, we as a collective don't know if it's going to be there. And so I can ham up that excitement, those nerves, and that kind of uncertainty. And we'll talk about that as well when we get to the revelation aspect of the trick. But also what I formed from this was a way of performing this trick as much as I possibly could. So I created a way to get into this effect and everything necessary to perform it from a brand new pack. So I'm going to show this now, and I don't know if you want to flip between overhead or whatever's good. But any deck that's in USPCC order, it's a very quick way to get into this effect. And it makes total sense with a deck that's in new deck order to have it shuffled by lots of people because, of course, you want to disassemble this sequence. This effectively is how we get into it. There's 2 jokers and 2 add cards usually. I think in these are blue seals, so there's no add cards, they're just 2 jokers. But you would want to remove the add cards. And then you're just going to slip one of those jokers into the beginning group of the diamonds. Somewhere between the ace and the 5 is fine. So the way I do that is I just gently lift up and I slip one of the jokers in, like that. Okay? The other joker we can get rid of, we don't need. So it doesn't serve a purpose. You need 53 cards for this effect to work, exactly as I've shown it. It needs to be this way because we're going to set the effect up in front of the spectator using a Pharaoh shuffle later on. So you've slipped one of the jokers into the diamond portion here, so you have just here. This won't affect the setup. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take that front suit, which is the spades, as a group, like a group cull almost. We're going to take that whole group of spades under the spread, and we're going to park it between the top 2 suits of the pack, the hearts and the clubs. So the way you do that is just to take it under the spread and spread through like this and just lift up between the clubs and the hearts and shove those spades in to the pack. So all you're doing is moving those spades into this position. Does that make sense? Great. From here, all we need to do is 1 Pharaoh shuffle, an in Pharaoh shuffle from the top of the pack. So you cut between the aces and you perform an in Pharaoh. If anyone needs to know what that is, it means we're keeping the top card of the pack as the So Jack of clubs, Jack of hearts, Queen of clubs, Queen of hearts, King of clubs, King of hearts, and then the King's kiss, so the King of diamonds, King of spades, Queen of diamonds, Queen of spades, Jack of diamonds, Jack of spades. So that is the stack, the 12 card stack, sorry. So these are the picture cards that are normally brought together in the center of the pack. I cut them to the top of the deck, and then I can shuffle everything around that. So all of these cards can be handed out to be shuffled, and I'm just retaining those picture cards to keep them in order. Now for this particular lecture, because I wanted to open with something quite fooling, I just simply went up to someone at the front here before the performance, and I said, I'm going to hand you a prediction packet in the first trick. So when I come to you, everyone's going to be shuffling, but you're just going to be holding onto these cards for me. And as I yeah, that's great. As I hand out the cards, I even reiterate that with my language. So I'll just show you exactly what I'm doing. I come to the first person, and I hand them 7 indifferent cards. 7 cards for you. And then I come to the next person, I hand them that 12 card stack, and I reiterate. I say, please hold on to those for me. So they know they're not going to be shuffling those cards, and then I hand everything else out. And when I collect the cards, I'm collecting 7 cards here, face up. The stack goes directly on top of it, and then everything else is collected on top of that. And I use a really important line that kind of signifies that I don't care about the order in which the cards are handed back to me. I say, please drop them back, whoever gets there first. And this is a really important kind of thinking that I want to apply to this type of effect, because I want to give the impression that I don't have control, and I don't know what's going to happen or what cards come from where and how they're collected. Does that make sense? So now when everyone's paying attention to the cards being shuffled, I don't want any dead time in the performance. So during that shuffling procedure is when I ask for a spectator to get involved with their phone. I always want to keep that pacing going, make sure everything's happening. You know, there's no beats lost, and there's momentum the whole time. Yeah, can I borrow you for this explanation as well? If you don't mind coming up, sitting in the same spot for me. So, if you wouldn't mind sitting this time, we're going to go through the outcomes. If you've got your phone as well with the stopwatch. So, just to show you here, we have our 7 indifferent cards, the 12 card stack, and the remaining cards, the indifferent cards that have been shuffled, on top of this. This is our starting position for the cards to be put into the sequence we need. Now, all I need to do is have Pierre cut about half the cards. The half that he cuts is going to contain that secret stack. So I say cut about half the cards, and I take hold of these cards and I make sure they're nice and square, ready for the Pharaoh shuffle. Then I'm going to stagger these packets. I'm going to shuffle these 2 packets together. Again, that top card is going to be the second card that gets shuffled in, okay? This is going to put that stack in the perfect sequence for this trick to work. Now, because I have to do a perfect Pharaoh shuffle in this part, even though I pretend it's not, even though after I've done it, I verbally say, oh, it's not perfect, but, you know, and again, we're using these kind of lines just to make the implication that it doesn't matter when in fact it does. Because I need to do a perfect Pharaoh, and I might be a little bit fiddly, as you saw a second ago, I use this moment to ask them to bring up their phone and go to their stopwatch. So as they do that, I'm now going to perform the in Pharaoh like this. Now, thankfully, it's perfect this time. I'll still imply it's not, though. So I'll say, oh, look, it's not perfect. I used to be able to shuffle better than that. But the point is, from the position at which you cut, we have different cards going into different cards. Now, this is perfectly set. Once these are square, that stack is going to be centralized with the picture cards alternating. The jacks, the black jacks are at 16. The red jacks are at 18. So we're going up in increments of 2. The black queens are at 20. Red queens at 22. Black kings at 24. Red kings at 26. I've written it out here so you can see and follow along as I give these demonstrations. But also the suits are perfect, because in the first half you have the hearts and the clubs, and I remember those 2 paired together because the hearts and clubs are very round in nature. And then from the face of the pack you have the spades and the diamonds, which are very pointy in nature. So I can compartmentalize those 2 things into categories. So I don't pay attention to the suit throughout this whole process. But at the very end, depending on the suit, depends on whether the cards are dealt from the top of the pack or from the face of the pack. If it's a heart or a club, it's dealt from the top. If it's a spade or a diamond, they deal with the cards face up. And this is how we're going to force the picture cards. It's all verbal gymnastics. And it all happens when I request the spectator to respond to the question I'm asking. So go ahead. We'll play some variations here. I'll leave this here so you can... No. Keep the overhead, sorry. Yeah. That okay? Oh, yeah. Is that the other way? Oh, for me, it's the other way. Sorry. So we'll do that as well. Is that helpful? Great. Okay, thank you. So go ahead, Pierre, press start. In a deck of cards, you have numbers or pictures. Just say the word numbers or pictures out loud. Whatever you say is what we use. Now, as soon as I see his plosive, the lip, as soon as he went for pictures, I knew he was going to say picture. I knew it was great. So I finished my sentence talking over him. I said, whatever you say is what we're going to use. If he says numbers, okay, so in a deck of cards, you've got numbers and pictures. Just say the word numbers or pictures out loud. Whatever you say is what we remove. So we remove the numbers. That leaves jacks, queens, and kings. What do you prefer, jacks, queens, or kings?
Jacks.
And a suit.
Clubs.
Okay, I'm going to stop there. So in 16 seconds, you generate the jack of clubs. Now, as you can see here, 16 seconds is the blackjack, and I know it's a club, so I know we're dealing 16 cards from the top of the pack, and that will position the card perfectly. Okay. So here's the rules. Because jacks are the least amount of time to get to, as soon as he says jack, I'll ask for the suit. Okay, I won't waste time. I'll go straight from jack to the suit. If he says queens, I ask for the color and then the suit. And if he says kings, I make some kind of comment and then ask for the color and then the suit. Now, doing this perfectly, the timing is just brilliant. Everything lines up. And what you'll realize, even if it might seem daunting at this moment, is that when you're in the performance, your language is always going to be the same pace because that's what you've rehearsed and practiced. So I know by the time I finish the command, it's around 11 seconds and I have some leeway to deal with. The important thing we're doing here is we're keeping an eye on the clock, okay, whilst we converse with them. So go ahead, press start for me. In a deck of cards, you have number cards and picture cards. Just say the word. Now, this is important. I do this. I had a friend growing up who was deaf, and I didn't learn all the sign language, but I did learn certain sign language to get attention, and I understand how amazing it is using physical gestures to prompt people to do something or say something. The fact that I say this, I say, just say the word, they have to respond in a timely manner because of that. If I just sit here and say, just say numbers or pictures, he might just go, I don't know, pizza? You know what I mean? You have to kind of lead them how you want them to react. So this is kind of the kind of gestures I use. So go ahead, press start. Also, here's a nice tip. As soon as I ask them to press start, that's when I learn how fast-paced they are in their nature. If they look at the clock and they go, then I'm not going to ask them to press stop later on. You know what I mean? I'm going to know from that interaction how things are going. Again, I think I even practiced with pizza and pasta. I gave a random scenario to see how he responded. Okay, we'll do it for real now a couple of times just to see how it works. So go ahead, press start. In a deck of cards, you have number cards and picture cards. Just say the word number or picture out loud. Whatever you say, we remove.
Number.
So removing the numbers, that leaves jacks, queens, and kings, right? So what do you prefer, jacks, queens, or kings?
Queens.
Oh, nice. What color, red or black?
Red.
Okay, I wouldn't have guessed that, but down to 2 cards, the queen of hearts or the diamonds. What do you want?
Queen of hearts.
I'm going to stop there on your last decision. So in 22 seconds, yeah, we'll just do one more. I know this is quite satisfying, but what I'm trying to show you here is that it's not actually that daunting. It's not as difficult as it might be perceived to be, is what I'm trying to demonstrate. Worst case scenario, they don't listen, they don't respond. So I want you to be the worst spectator who doesn't answer or doesn't, you know? So go ahead, press start for me. So in a deck of cards, there's number cards and there's picture cards. Just say the word number or picture out loud. Whatever you say is what we
Picture.
imagine removing, okay? So imagine taking out those jacks, queens, and kings. What do you prefer, jacks, queens, or kings?
Jacks.
And the suits, what do you want? In fact, I'm going to stop here. What are you going to go for?
I was going to go for spade.
Look at this. I stopped the clock before you made your last decision. And again, yeah. I mean, actually, you were even kinder, right? Normally, you know, if someone's being awkward, they might not listen, they might not respond. And what I wanted to demonstrate there is, let's say you don't say anything. Let's just say you're just totally uninterested. I mean, I wouldn't be performing if someone was uninterested, but let's say the clock is running and I've said pictures or numbers, just say something out loud. And you say, hey, how's your weekend? If he's not responding, say, okay, sorry I wasn't clear. We're going to reset here. This is so, and now I'll just stop. I'll just take myself out of that awkward situation. And I'll just say, I'm sorry I wasn't clear. I'm going to give you 2 words. You're going to throw one of them back to me. So, and now I'll prime again, just pizza or pasta?
Pizza.
Yes, that's what I want. I said pizza or pasta, and you immediately came back with something. That's what, right, now we're going to go again. And so I've literally taken myself out of an awkward situation, taken a deep breath, and I've come back into it knowing that he understands now the rules. So hopefully that's clear. One last time, and we'll go into the revelation. Pierre, in a deck of cards, there's number cards and there's picture cards. All I want you to do is say the word number or picture out loud.
Picture.
Whatever you say, we use, okay?
Yeah, picture.
Okay, picture cards. Okay, so that's jacks, queens, or kings. What do you prefer, jacks, queens, or kings?
Kings.
Nice, I like that. I wouldn't have guessed it either, which is good. Kings, red or black?
Black.
The black kings, or club or spade?
Spade.
Okay, I'm going to stop there. 24 seconds. You generated the king of spades. Now, here's the amazing thing. Different people say different things in different times. So now what I'm doing with the presentation is I'm framing the impossibility now, okay? I'm now pointing out, had I have done it with you, you would have done something else. And once the spectators or the audience around understands that, and they go, oh yeah, I could have gone for this, now it becomes impossible. It becomes totally, this can't work. And you immediately induce them into that no way moment, which is where we want our spectators. We want them to think, no way, there's no way, there's no way. So this is where I say, you know, different people say different times. If Clive came up, you might have chosen numbers, you might have said 7 hearts, and you might have done it in 15 seconds, right? You understand how improbable this is. And now I use this nice line. Before we do the deal, I say, there's 51 chances that that card's not at that position. And there's only 1 chance that it is. And this is where I start to smile, and I kind of, what you'll notice here, because it has to be, you said king of spades, so I now know the spade is dealing from the face of the pack. So I say, please, I don't want to touch the cards, right? I put my hands like this. This is important. Again, this is a body gesture where I'm saying, I haven't done anything, I haven't done anything, right? Sneaky. Please, go ahead, pick up the cards, right? Turn them face up so we see the faces as you deal them. And you're just going to deal 24 cards to the table. Now watch what happens. As soon as he starts dealing, I step up and I walk away. Now I'm doing this on purpose because I want to distance myself from him and the cards. I want him to be in his own moment knowing that I'm not physically involved and I can't do anything sneaky. So I'm doing everything to create that memory that it's as impossible as it seems right now. I'm also showing nervous body language. I'm going, do you remember, I think I used the line saying, I'm going to be sick, because I want you to feel that. I want you to feel that same feeling, If this was just a simple trick where I say, okay, the card's going to be there, deal the cards, it would be boring, it'd be monotonous, right? I want them to feel that nervousness. I want them to feel the idea that it might go wrong. And that's where the real magic is. Think about when you go to the circus and you're seeing the tightrope artist walking. If they just do it elegantly, up and down, then you realize they can do it and you clap. If they do it and they slip and you think they're going to die if they fall, now you're invested. You're like on the edge of your seat thinking, oh my God, this is real, this is real. That's where I want the spectator when I'm performing this. And Preston, it's your dad that actually gave me this advice, but in the form of a sales piece of advice. I think he said, it's fantastic. No, this is really, to effect of this, the effect of what he was saying was, undercharge and over-deliver. Does that make sense? Lower those expectations and supersede them with your magic. Always, always. So here's the count. 24, King of Spades. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Stop there. That's 23. So the next card after that is the 24th card. So as soon as you take that card away, we're going to see if this has worked or not. You'll notice this is a face-up deal. And I don't just want him dealing to it and having that realization. I want to manage that revelation. So I stop him on the card before. I say, that's 23, the next one's 24. Show them. And immediately, you get the nice reaction there. Does that have, can you see everything? Is that great? Thank you so much. So does anyone have any questions? Because obviously there's a lot to this piece. Does anyone have any questions? No? Great, okay, that's a good sign. So that was Stopwatch Shuffled. Thanks. So, Nick, can I borrow you back again with the cards themselves? If you want to bring them up, I will go through this. This is a trick I call manifest, if you want to take a seat. Now, I seat the spectator for this effect to my left at all times because of the moves I'm going to be doing during this to set this up as we go. But, come on, this to me, right, to have a card transform in the spectator's hands is like the kind of magic I dreamed of doing, you know. And the method is so simple that perhaps to seasoned pros it might feel underwhelming. But please reconsider that initial feeling and recognize how powerful this is for lay people, how powerful it is to have that moment where a card transforms in their hands. So there's lots to this. I call it manifest. I like this and I wanted to demonstrate it because I wanted to show you also kind of a little bit of storytelling and hook at the beginning, you know. I don't like necessarily script writing in such a way that it becomes convoluted or contrived, but I do like to think about interesting things that you can say to make people think, to bring them into something and to give attention to something. So with this, I'm just talking about the reality of manifesting things, and the whole idea behind this is that I'm reading someone's thought using playing cards. So I'm getting them to think about their surroundings. So the general kind of scripting here is that I say, think about this, you know, the clothes that we're wearing, this table, this book, everything here, including the building we're in, at some point in time, never even existed. It wasn't even here, you know? But all these things have one thing in common, and that's that they all started as a thought. You know, someone somewhere had an idea and managed to manifest it into reality. And, you know, that's as simple as that. That opening script makes people go, oh, yeah, oh, interesting. Yeah, that's true. And that's all I want. A little bit of kind of, oh, okay, I'm with you, you know? So this is what I use to bring them into it, and I say there's nothing, you know, this is just a bit of fun. We're going to use some cards. And what I'm doing here is I'm using a sneaky roughed card. So I'm using the joker of the pack, and I've roughed the card on the face of the playing card here. So I'm going to show you, could you pass me that stick there that looks like chapstick? Yeah. So everyone that's here tonight, I've got one of these for you. Come see me afterwards. This is a roughing stick I created as a chapstick. So much so that you could just have it in your pocket very casually. It just looks like you're, you know, no one's going to think twice about what this is. But if you want to perform this effect, and you have a new deck, you can just take the joker on the bottom, and you can put a nice X. Just rub it like that, and you're ready to go, okay? So this on the fly is quite useful, a little bit of roughing stick. So that's how I carry it. And I'm just applying it to the face of the card. And this card, this joker, whatever card you choose to rough, is going to sit on the bottom of the pack. And then you're just simply going to peek the card that's at the top of the pack. And that's the card that we're going to be forcing for this effect, because we're just going to force a playing card. And that's the setup. And I love how simple that setup is, right? So I need a reason to perform this riffle force that I'm about to do. It's a very Chan Canasta style force that you would have seen, perhaps Blaine's done it on TV. You've seen Chan Canasta flick the cards on TV. There's actually many methods to achieve the spectator seeing that card and being forced that card. But this one is my favorite because we're actually going to be using half the pack to force the card, which means there's less time, there's less riffling, and our thumb is just going to catch on that top card, And what's beautiful about it, if you did it with a whole pack, it would be very obvious that when you get to the very end, they would see that card and know it's on top. Whereas with half the pack, it's so quick and fleeting that actually, even when I do it, I'm questioning whether that was second or third from the top, even though I'm seeing that top card. But I need to logically get into that position where I'm using half the pack. Otherwise, it makes no sense to just cut them and riffle. So I start with my arms extended so that I can see these cards and you can see them too. And I give myself the excuse to split the pack by saying, go ahead, say stop. And I stop myself. I go, oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the cards. This has to be, I need to look away. Maybe not this one because I've seen it. And now I've separated those halves. So now I'm going to be riffling this packet with a tight grip, and my thumb's just going to catch on that top card. It's a knack. It's going to catch, and it will just show it a bit longer than the others. I'm going to do this for camera. Hopefully you guys can see. So you'll see that last card gets caught. Did you see that? Okay. Just a fraction of a second more than all the others. Now, this move is attributed, that what I'm about to do, the steal of this forced card, is attributed to my friend Ross Taylor, and he gave me full permission to teach this. And I love this sequence because all the attention is on this moment here with my head turned and them seeing a card. I say, I've seen this one, so maybe think of one. Did you get one? Yeah. Now, as soon as I turn my head back and I ask the question, I'm just going to slip that card onto this packet. I'm just going to peel it off, and now I'm in control of it. I can hand this packet that they believe that card they've seen is in, get them to shuffle it, and I have it here. So again, the sequence, I just love this sequence, and this is why they're on my left. So again, from the top, just call stop for me. Stop. I'm so sorry, I'm looking at the cards. I'm going to look away. Perhaps not this one because I've seen it. Just look in and get one. Did you get one? Yeah, of course. You got one? Yeah. Perfect. Just shuffle the cards for me. And all I've done is just stolen that 8 of diamonds off. Simple as that. So you force it, you steal it. As they're shuffling these cards, we're now going to do the sneaky setup here. We're going to reverse that card so that later on we can have that transformation. So in order to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to peel down on that top card, like this, and we're going to take everything else and we're going to flip it face up on top. Here I have my roughed card, and I've now reversed that forced card. From this position, I'm going to spread the cards in my hands, and all I'm going to do is take that roughed card, maybe 3 or 4 cards away from the reversed card. So with my thumb, my left thumb, I'm just going to peel that card onto this packet here. So in my left hand, you've got a few cards in between and the reverse card here. And then I'm going to place this packet back on top. And what that's done is it's loaded that reverse card a few cards away from the roughed card, and it's kept that rough card on the bottom of the pack. So in flow again, just to show you here, all I'm doing whilst they're shuffling is I'm pulling this card back, turning everything over, spreading, pulling that joker and placing everything back on top. That's the sequence. And from this position, I can have those cards returned into the middle of the deck. They believe their cards in the center portion, and I can hand the cards to them. And the reality of it is that sticky card's on the bottom, and the reverse card is just a few cards from the bottom. Does that make sense? Of course, when you perform this move, thank you, Nick, when you perform it, you do it with your wrist killed. So I'm looking at this camera here. I'm seeing the angle here, so I'm going to tilt this so that you can't see the top of the pack. That's when I do the pull down. So I've done this behind. So you can't see that, and then everything comes on top. And again, I'm in this position. I can say just mix them as much as you want. And I'm now set up, but it looks like I'm gesturing about the mixing, when in fact I've just set the trick. So now these are returned to the middle. I ask you to hold on to the cards. And now's for the transformation. So I say, I'm going to gift you these cards because I want them to be a reminder of a positive thought. And I want you to remember that a positive thought is the seed that allows us to see the changes we want to see in our lives. Just like the change that's about to happen in your hands in 3, 2, 1. So this line's really important because I'm now insinuating that the magic is happening, is about to happen. I'm telling them, oh, sorry, I realize we haven't done the deal yet. I apologize, I got ahead of myself with the script. So before this last bit, I get the spectator to deal down, and I make the implication, without saying that they're going to stop on their card, I say your card's somewhere in the middle, just stop somewhere. In fact, deal clumps and just stop somewhere in the middle. Anywhere you like.
Here.
This one or that one?
This one.
Turn it face up there. Amazing, Jack of clubs. It would have been good if that was your eight of diamonds, wouldn't it? In fact, drop those on top and pick everything up in your hands. Just hold on to it for a moment. Now I deliver that last line, and I say about the changes that you want to see in your life, just like the change that's about to happen. So now I'm implying that the change hasn't happened yet. The magic hasn't happened yet. That's about to happen in your hands in 3, 2, 1. And again, all we're doing is providing them, we're giving them that cue to have that no way moment before the revelation. Now, I know that Nick is a magician that can spread cards nicely, but I don't want this moment ruined by a layperson who can't. You know, because if someone was inexperienced and they spread the deck, they might do this, and you can't see anything, right? There's no impact on the revelation. So if I have to manage the revelation, I will simply come in like this. So if you're holding the pack, I'll say, look, I need to take these at fingertips because I want you to swear down that you've not seen me do anything sneaky. May I?
Yep.
So I ask for permission. May I? He gives me permission, and I say, look, let's have a watch. What once was the Jack of clubs is now your eight of diamonds. So the reality of the situation here is that this has transported into the card that they were thinking of, and only a few cards later is that thick card, that's a hidden card. Now, I normally give this as a gift, and I cull this out, so I'm just going to show you the cleanup, how to perform it with the box. That Jack of clubs has changed into their card, so I'm now going to secretly remove the Jack of clubs, and all I have to do in the after beat of the effect is spread through to what I feel is the thick card, and I'm going to cull it to the bottom of the pack. So I now have that Joker and the Jack of clubs, in this case, stuck at the bottom. And I'm simply going to put it into a cop position, and then I'm going to box the deck like this, but I'm retaining the gimmicks, you see? So I'm boxing the deck, and then I hand it to them, and I say, I've even left the card reversed so that it can be a reminder of this. And now all I can do, I can either just ditch these, you know, lap them if I'm in a suitable position. Maybe sometimes I use the crux of my knee as well to hide the cards, so I might just fold them in there. Obviously this is very exposed, so I didn't do the cleanup for the purpose of this, as you can imagine. But yeah, that's it. That's manifest. Does that make sense? And is there any questions? Happy? Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Cooking. We're cooking with cards. Any questions? No? Okay, great. Yes? Oh, yes. Let's get I can repeat the questions. He's asking, how strongly do I apply the roughing stick? So, sorry, Marcus, thank you. God! How strongly do I apply it? Well, for this particular thing, I'm wanting two cards to stick together. I'm wanting that card to be hidden. So I'm really going to want it around the edges more than anything. But usually I just put a firm X on the card, and then I just kind of do a circle as well around the edge. And that for me does it, you know. It's so quick, you know. You don't want to be, if you're using someone else's cards, you don't want to put roughing on their card. This is the sort of thing that I carry if I need to quickly set something up in my own deck. Because roughing it, it's basically like candle wax. Okay, it'll allow that card to stick to any other card that it's touching, and you're kind of ruining that card for them if you do that. So just to be wary of how you use it, basically. Any other questions? No? Okay, great. Well, let's try something more impromptu, more fun. Put your hands up if you have a deck of cards with you tonight. I mean, I can see you guys fiddling with them. That's good. You've got one too. Preston, you've got one. Preston, do you want to join me on this? Have you got the pack with you? Give him a round of applause. Join him. Thanks, mate. I'm going to ask you sneaky questions that I would never, ever ask a layperson. Do you want to face the front?
Yeah.
Are these cards marked?
No.
Good. Are they in a stack?
No.
Great. So this is important because this is kind of like a fooler. This is kind of that territory. I'm going to turn my back so I categorically cannot see either the top, bottom, middle. I don't want to see anything. I want you to take the cards out is that a cloth?
Yeah.
Okay, and then out the box. And you're going to put the cards face down in the center of the table, but you make sure I do not see any of the cards. Take everything out, place them face down Are there any ad cards there or something? Okay, great. Tell me when the cards are face down in the middle of the table. Yes, okay. Preston, you're going to cut anywhere you like. Okay, so you can cut a small amount, a medium amount, large amount. Whatever you do, you're just going to cut. You're going to hold the packet that you've cut to your chest. And only you are going to look down and remember the card that you've cut to. Don't show the camera. Don't show anyone here. Yep. Obviously, remember the card. Yep. Have you done that? Yep. Have one last look. Just, yeah. I feel like a puppet master when I give commands. Are you still holding the packet? Yeah. Without showing the card to them, could you cut the cards in your hand as well? Just to bury the card in the middle. Does that make sense? Yeah. And place that packet either on the top or underneath the cards on the table, or in the middle if you like. And even whilst I'm still turned away, I want you to cut and complete the cards. So even if I had an inkling that he might have cut half, like normal people do, I can't now track the card because I don't know how biased these further cuts are. Are the cards all square?
Yeah.
Can you riffle shuffle?
Yes.
Give them a riffle shuffle. As well, you know, magicians, their thoughts. No, not like that! Kidding. Cut them again, one last time. And then please just spread them face up on the table. Nice big spread. Yeah, that's nice. And I'm going to have you stand here. Do you mind coming around? Yes, please. Okay, that's great. Okay. Just point your finger like this. And relax. We're going to run your hand up and down the pack. Now, at some point, you might have already seen your card, I don't know. At some point, you will see your card. And your brain will say, that's it. But you're not going to say anything out loud. You're not going to move your mouth. You're not going to pull your hand. You're not going to guide me at all, okay? Just relax and just think. That's it. When you see your card. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We'll start here at this end. Just relax. Like a dead weight. Yeah, that's it. Let me guide you. And just think. Just think, that's it. Come back here for a second because there's a bit of tension here. Are you comfortable? Okay, good. One last time, I'm just not. We'll come all the way along this time. Step a bit closer to the table, maybe? Yeah, that's it. There we go. All right. And you're just going to think. You're just going to think, that's it. Oh, something's happening here. Something's happening here. Okay. This isn't a black card, is it?
Yeah.
It is, yeah, I'm getting a, this is like a spade? No, club. I'm seeing a club here. I'm going to go for this, because is this the one?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
There we go! Thank you. Okay, good night, everyone. Thanks for coming to the lecture. No, I really love this, because this is a special piece of magic. Should we do it again?
Yeah.
Square them up. Turn them face down. Or maybe shuffle them first, because they might think that. Yeah. So I love this because I call this emotional damage, and the reason I call it emotional, thank you, is I like naming things that have meaning, and for me this is based on Vernon's emotional reaction, but I've added a few things in to kind of take the actual essence of the method away, you know, in the construction of how I perform it. So, yes, I'm gonna explain this performance. I think we'll do the tutorial at the same time because it's gonna be. So go ahead, park the cards on the table. So before the lecture started, as you were coming in, I was up there shaking your hands and greeting each and every one of you. And a couple of you, I asked if you had some cards, and you said you did. And I said, can you riffle shuffle? What did you say?
I said yes.
Yes, I said, and what did I do after that?
You asked me to demonstrate.
Yes, I asked him to take his cards to make sure he has. I say, are they marked? Are they in a stack? He said no. I already knew that information, so I knew it would be great conditions to signify whilst I was performing it to try and fool everyone. But the more important thing is that during that initial sequence, I peeked that top card before the cards went back in the box, and I told you to hold on to those cards. So I am doing exactly what Vernon did with regards to having that top card and using it as a key card, but I'm layering it and I'm cancelling out the idea that I could know that by how I approach the effect in real time. How I say, you know, who's got cards with you? Oh, I can see you're fiddling with cards. You know, I'm literally engineering to come to you, and I might do this with 4 or 5 people. So I might know at the top of your deck is the 6 of clubs, the 5 of diamonds, and he had the king of clubs. So I know I have multiple options, you know, that I could repeat with other people. So anyway, I'm banking information. The queen of clubs was on the top last time, but you've probably shuffled. So this is how I would do it completely cold. Please just cut again, because I saw the top card. Yeah, just to start totally afresh. So these are your cards. They're not marked. They're not in a stack. You've just shuffled them. This is what I want you to do, okay? You're going to cut anyway. I'll turn my back. You're just going to lift up any amount of cards. You're going to bring to your chest. Remember the card that you cut to, in this case, 5 of clubs. And just, in fact, keep the cards. Cut anywhere. Keep the cards to your chest. Now, all I've done there in that demonstration is I've peeked the top card. So what I'm doing, so it's a 10 of clubs on the top. So all I'm doing is sneaky, is I'm cutting somewhere, and as I bring this packet up, I hold it in a biddle grip, almost, from above. I'm using these top 2 fingers to just pivot this top card off of my 4th finger. So the overhead, please. So you can see like this. And I'm just seeing that indice at my chest, but I'm using my hand to cover this. I'm using my left hand to cover that as they're against my chest. And as I come the other way, so from this position, and I've peeked the card, as I come down, I'm now going to use my hand, this hand, the left hand, to square that card as I show them the card I've cut to. So the sequence is, I cut. You can give me the full shot now, if that's okay, so they can see my body. As I cut and I come here, excuse me, where am I? This is so disorientated. I was on a boat before this, by the way, so I have sea legs right now. I'm completely and utterly dizzy. So I'm coming up like this. I peek the card, and immediately I square with my hand. So I'm showing them this, and I'm saying this would be your card, for example. But I've seen that that was the 10 of clubs. So from here to here. So I'm covering and pushing. It all happens so fast. But now I know that top card is the 10 of clubs. So go ahead and cut any way you like. Look at the card you've cut to. And then, in fact, cut the cards in your hands. And drop those cards back onto the pack and cut again if you like. And perhaps even give a riffle shuffle. So now I know what a riffle shuffle will do. It will keep my, and this is the trick. This is what fools magicians, okay? It will keep my key card close to the card he's thinking of. So now if you spread the deck face up on the table, I now know, if I look for the 10 of clubs here, that the card that he's thinking of is behind it. So it could be the 4 of clubs, the king of hearts, 3 of hearts, and the 7 or the 6 of diamonds. It's one of those 5 or 6 cards. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So now, the perfect instance now, I can fish for these by using language. And I can use negative language to begin with. So I might hazard the guess that the cards stay together in the shuffle. So I might just think to myself, this could be a king or a 3, because the cards are closest to it are a heart. So, but also, look, we can also see the 4 of clubs is next to it, right? So I now know if it's not a red card, it's likely to be the 4 or the 9. But it's definitely more probable that it's a red card in that first instance, if that makes sense. Can you all see the cards, and do you understand what I'm saying? So what I'll do in this case with this card is I'll come here and I'll stop around the area, which again gives him the feeling of magic, because he's thinking, how do you know? What am I giving away? How is it that you're able to know just through holding my hand? So this for him is magic, okay? Just to get the area is magic. And now I say, this isn't a red card, is it? Yeah. It is, isn't it? I'm seeing you're thinking red, and I'm feeling one of these hearts here. Yeah. It's not this one, is it? It's this one. Is that correct?
Yeah.
You see how I'm putting his hand on 3, and I'm using negative language. I'm saying it's not this one, is it? Now, if it is, I say, if he reacts and says, yeah, I go, I thought so, and I'll drag it out. Because he didn't react, because I'm watching him as I speak, I say, it's not this one, is it? And he doesn't react. I say, it's not this one, it's this one, right? I immediately, without hesitation, used the language and just observing him to get this as though it's 100% commitment on my part. Does that make sense? So I'm just going to show you one other technique I use to verbally ascertain the color and the suit of a card. So we'll do this one more time, Preston. Thank you so much for your patience here. This is so fun. So please go ahead and shuffle the cards. Mix them up as much as you want. And pop them here. So I now know he's not shuffled the King of Hearts, which I peeked, right? It's still on top, so it's perfect. He feels like he's shuffled. I don't have to touch the cards. I say, go ahead, cut anywhere you like. Just hold it to your chest. Remember that card. Just for the explanation purposes, I won't show the audience this card too for this round. And then cut the cards in your hands. Drop them back, riffle shuffle if you like, etc. So now, same thing. I know the King of Hearts, and it's going to be a card near it. But this time, I'm going to ascertain the color and the suit before I even touch the cards. So I say, Preston, put your hands like this. I want you to imagine that there are red cards here, and there are black cards here, like you've literally separated them into two piles. Does that make sense? Yeah. So you see the red cards here, and you see the black cards here. Now, without telling me, just think about which pile your card belongs in. You don't have to look at the hand, you don't have to move, just think it's here or here. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Do you know, yes or no, do you know where your card is? Yeah. Like which hand? Yeah. Okay, good. Okay. Watch this. I can't explain how I do this, it's a feeling. I just have a... Yeah, I'm feeling it. You're trying not to move this one. I'm just going to say the suits to you, actually. Just think of the suit for me. Just the suit. And I'm going to say something to you. Club, heart, spade, diamond. So now I feel 90% chance. Is it a spade? No. Okay, so when I pointed here, I felt there was a bit of resistance. So it's going to be a red card, but I wanted to just check. So what I do is I verbally throw out the black options. So I say to him, and this is something from Michael Murray called a little something. I say to him, I'm going to say something to you, just think of the suit. And I throw out one of those options, one of those black options. So I say club. Now, if he's thinking of a club, he will react, he will smile. Okay, so I've got rid of that because he didn't react. I can continue to say the suits. I say club, heart, spade, diamond. And because he didn't react, I've now got rid of that club. I've now felt that he could be hiding something, could be here. So now when I go to the deck and I look for the King of Hearts, and I can go through and say, actually keep your hand out flat for me because I'm gonna commit to this. So now all I'm doing here is I'm finding the King of Hearts, and I'm looking here, and I had a window of cards, and this is quite a nice scenario to be in. There's the 4 of hearts, the 5 of diamonds, the 6 of diamonds. I'm going to go for it being one of these because it's closest to the king and it's more likely that it's there. I say, this isn't a heart, is it? Yeah, it is, isn't it? I'm going to go with this one. I feel this one more than the other. It's not an ace of hearts, is it? No, okay, good, because I've committed to this. Now, ace of hearts was one of the other hearts a bit further away, so I want to verbally see if it's there, right? And I've now put that and I've committed to it. Have a look. Is that the one? Yeah. Of course. So now, thank you. So what this is an amazing technique. I genuinely think that it perhaps is a little bit harder because I've done this on you thousands of times. But when you do this on a layperson, I want to show you the intention. So if you put your hands like this, if I'm telling him the red cards are here and the black cards are here, and he has no expectation whatsoever, and I'm saying I want you to think about which half it's in, relax a bit, and now I say I can't explain how I do this, it's just a feeling. Yeah, here. You're thinking the red card's here and the black card's here, right? But I now know based on his reaction that it's red because he thinks the implication of me tapping here means that I'm going for that hand. Does that make sense? This is an amazing technique because just through observing the spectator, I can ascertain the color of the card. We're literally using real body language reading to ascertain the color of the card. I mean, that to me is beautiful. And then we mix that with a little something technique. So as soon as I know it's red, I say, yeah, here or here, but I can feel it. Now I know it's red, I'm now going to throw out one of the red options. I say, just think of the suit now, I think I can get this. I'm going to say something to you. Hearts. Yeah. And he reacted, so I know it's a heart. If he didn't react, if I threw out the diamonds, for example, I say diamonds, and I could see he's not reacting. I say diamonds, clubs, spades, hearts. Okay, yeah, that's harder, but I think I've got it. And now I know it's a heart because he didn't react on the diamond. So just in this interaction, I can get the suit. And it's way more likely that when I spread to that key card and I look for that suit, I'm going to get the card down to 1 or 2 cards, and we can improvise our way in that way. So hopefully that makes sense. Preston, I hope I've explained that eloquently. You can keep those as a souvenir. Yeah, thank you. Hats off to him. How are we for time? We've got 25 minutes. Oh, fantastic. Let's try something else. Another person with a deck of cards that wants to come up and have some fun, come sit here. Someone who's up for it. Yes, come on, mate. Give him a round of applause. Whoever's here. I'll have to pick one if no one nominates themselves. Yeah. Thank you, Pierre. Come on. Keep it going. Keep that. You got some cards? Take them out. I think they're marked, which is great. Thank God.
Is that an issue?
No, it's not. It's just less impressive. Okay, I tell you, because they're marked, I'm going to shuffle the cards, please. No, it doesn't matter. Shuffle them up. And then I will categorically keep faced away. Just put the cards face down in my hands. And you done that? You done it?
Yep.
They face down? So if I go like this, can you see the indices of the cards? Can you see the colors, the shapes, values, suits, everything, yeah? So go ahead, just say stop somewhere.
Stop.
You got it?
Yep.
I kind of let go there, but did you get one?
I did, yes.
Okay. How many cards did you see just then?
Quite a few.
Loads, right? It's a whole myriad of cards, right? But one stood out to you. You said stop and you saw a card. You remember that card?
I remember it.
So look at me. I'm going to see if I can get this. Again, I did this completely with my head turned away, right? Just think of the color. This is a red card or a black card. Just think of that color. Just focus on it. Okay, don't give anything away this time. I get a sense that this could be black. I get a sense that it could be a club. And I get a sense that it could be a high card. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's red. Maybe it's a medium value. Maybe it's a heart. Who knows? But I sense it is a black spade. I'm going to go for this. I'm going to go for this. I think it's black spade. Can you tell by the markings if I got it right?
You got it right.
There you go. So this is a delayed peak I created. It's a tabled peak, and it's delayed because I'm getting the peak at the very last minute. So this is less about the prop, less about the cards. It's more about my interaction with him and whatever kind of process or genuine process you want to apply to try and extract that information. You do it with the whole feeling that there's no way you could know what the card is. So first things first, when they have the cards, I ask them to shuffle them and put them in my hands. When I ask the question, are they face down, I'm doing that for a reason. I'm doing it specifically so that they acknowledge I'd only ask if I couldn't see. So I'm inadvertently telling them I can't see the cards, which is really convincing. And now I'm going through, I use a line by Ben Earl, and I love this line. It's not exactly word for word, but what he does is he says, can you see the shapes, the colors, the values, the numbers, the letters? So what he's doing is he's throwing out all this language, which just implies so much variation verbally. You know, it makes it feel more improbable and impossible. So here we go. Can you see all of those?
Yep.
In fact, say stop.
Stop.
Just remember
Yep.
one of those. Did you get one?
Yep.
So all I'm doing is holding a break. So this is a standard step peak, but I'm going to show you how I get the peak later on. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be squeezing the cards in my hand, squeezing so much so that that pinky break will cause that to step. So this is a traditional step peak where the indices now stepped across like this, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with, okay? The difference here is I'm able, whilst I'm still turned away, so call stop again.
Stop.
Remember that?
Yep.
Whilst I'm still turned away, I can put these cards down and I can do this. But I can retain that step. Okay, so I've retained the step. It's the 9 of hearts. And so what I discovered was it's quite simple. If you have a step, So if I exaggerate this, if you give the overhead, if that's okay. Overhead camera? Thank you. So I've exaggerated the step here. If I'm to pick up the whole pack from underneath the step and dribble it, you're going to lose control of that card. If you put pressure with your finger from the top of the pack and you lift up above that step, pressure and lift, I can dribble those now without affecting that step. Okay? And it's an attitude thing. So I say, go ahead, call stop.
Stop.
Remember that card.
Yep.
Look me dead in the eyes, because I don't want you to think that somehow I could know. I mean, it's not about, it's about you, it's about this thought. So I've created that chaos. And there's no way people sense, there's no way you could have peaked anything if they are in the know, for example, about this type of magic. They feel like there's no way, because I said look dead in the eyes. So I now do this process with you, where I say this is a red card or a black card, just focus on that color first. This is something Peter Turner does, and I think it's a brilliant way to ascertain the color as well. I'm making a statement, and I touch them. I say, this is a red card or a black card, right? It's 50-50, just think. Because that's where you will see whether it's red or not. So if I say this is a red card and it is, they'll light up like I'm telling them. If it's not, they just keep a poker face. So if this is a red card or a black card, just focus. It's 50-50, but I'm going to go for this. And you continue with your conversation, all right, to cover it. But really, I'm pulling information. Ultimately, this is a great way to practice your mentalism with cards, because I'm genuinely trying to read him and to kind of get the card. And later on, when I pick up this pack, I put pressure on it, and I pick everything up with the pressure, and I know that it's the Jack of Clubs sticking out here. So it keeps the step here. And all I'm doing is bring it towards myself, and as I regrip with this hand, I'm looking down, I get the peak, and I square it up, and I look back at him. So I'm not really paying attention. It's like this. It's kind of like that. That's as quick as the peak is. And now I can verbally confirm. I'm saying, yeah, I think it's a club. I'm going to go for this one. It's got to be. And now I take up the card that I've peaked, the Jack of Clubs in this case. Any questions? No? Okay. That was it. So, no, please stay. I wanted to demonstrate something that I brought with me tonight. It's my first ever release I put out with Vanishing Ink, and it's a gimmick. Have you heard of Level 1? Put your hand up if you know. Yay, oh, well, there's just a few people who didn't have their hands up, and maybe some of your friends don't know about it, so for the people watching at home especially, I just want to walk you through a few ways I like to get into Level 1. So right now I've loaded the gimmick in the pack. I've loaded it beneath that top card, and all I'm going to be doing is bringing it in a bit like a shell. So I've now brought the gimmick in. I can load secretly this deck behind a drink in a pub, for example, in a bar setting, or I can cop the deck out or lap the deck, and I'm in that position to perform Level 1, which of course, for those that haven't seen it, looks like you're holding the pack. The cards are disappearing, apparently getting smaller and smaller into one, and of course that happens to be their card, and you can steal it off, and it's a lovely, it's a lovely vanish of a pack of cards. The reason I wanted to show you this today, for those that might, but you've all put your hands up, is because I have a few. I have literally 6 here with me tonight, and if you are interested or you haven't got one of these, please come see me and I'll walk you through this particular handling. Effectively, it's quite simple. It's a bit like the Omni deck, but I love this a bit more than the Omni deck, because the Omni deck is so unbelievable in the moment that it can kind of only ever be dissected afterwards and have this trajectory of, oh, it's a plastic block, therefore there had to have been some kind of switch. So they appreciate the trick, they feel the surprise, but they can kind of ascertain the method almost afterwards, right? Whereas with this, even though it's the same type of beat at the end of a routine where something really strong happens, there's no explanation. They just see the cards disappearing into one card, and that's their card, and that's what they'll remember, that's what they'll tell. This is an amazing trick to get that kind of reaction, but to also keep the magic where they can't understand the method. It's also a great way to do a deck switch, because you can have your secret deck you want to bring in your pocket, and you can get into position. So all I'm doing, just to show you here, you can bring a close-up if you like, is I'm placing the gimmick underneath the top card, and I'm covering that with the front of my hands. so that everything looks like I'm just handling the cards normally. And all I'm going to be doing is taking this top card, and I'm going to tilt my hand down and grab the gimmick. So I'm coming down on this ledge here. You see that ledge? I'm coming down and I'm grabbing it into position. And as if I'm cutting the pack, I'm just going to place this kind of shell over the top, and I'm going to square everything up. And I'm now holding the gimmick over the deck, so I can now just load the deck somewhere or steal it off somewhere. But I'm in position. So it's great for a deck switch because you're in this position, you can ditch this deck, and then of course when you have the vanish, so half the cards vanish for example, you can then bring out half of your stack. You can make the other half vanish, bring out the other half of the stack, and then you also end with a dupe, you know, for the next bit. Not only have you brought in your stack deck, but you're also using a dupe as well, which I love. And I had to show you this because it's something I love, and if you want to be inspired in that way, please come see me, and I'd love to talk to you more about this particular thing, which I love, I still love. Thank you. Thank you, mate. You can take that. Give him one last round of applause for coming up. We got time for another? Yeah? You happy? Tony, do you want to join me? Give him a round of applause. So, thank you, mate. You look great. This is Tony, right? The creator, do you want to tell them? Of the Greek Peak wallet. Yeah! Beautiful, mate, beautiful. If you're not familiar with it, it's fantastic Peak wallet. If you like mentalism, please check it out. You're a legend, mate. I wanted to bring you up. I want to showcase you to these wonderful people. So let's try this. This is another one of my favorite impromptu tricks. Go ahead, mate. Just cut about half the cards for me. And take them and just deal maybe 3 or 4 cards down to the table from the top. And take some from the middle, and you can put them on the top, or you can put them on the cards, or put these on those, or basically, yeah, just mix them in your hands and put clumps. But slow down a little bit, because whilst you do that, I'm going to do something sneaky with the half you've left me. I'm going to go through and take one of these. Yeah, keep mixing and dropping. Great. I'm going to take one of these cards that doesn't have its paired duplicate in this packet. If I can find one. Yes, I can. So I'm going to do something sneaky under the table. Hopefully you can't see this. I'll tell you what I've done. I've done something sneaky. I've parked one of these cards that doesn't have its duplicate in this packet. It has to be here, right? If it's not here, the paired card has to be here. And what I've done is I've put it face down so that none of you can see what that card is. Is that correct? Hopefully I didn't prematurely flash it there. But there's one card reversed in this packet. And we'll come back to this in a second. In fact, I'll move this here and I'll put that there, just so you can keep an eye on it. So the reason I got you to mix and shuffle these cards is that when we go into this together, this is going to be totally random. Right. So I'm going to shuffle the cards. You're going to tell me when to stop. Can I touch? Yeah. So I do this. When you say stop, we turn the packet over and we go with whatever card's here. Right. Is that okay? That's fine. Okay. So you say stop.
Stop.
Just there.
Right there.
Do you want me to do more, or are you happy?
No, happy
Okay, so you got 6.
Okay. Stop.
Oh, that was quick. A bit more, are you happy?
Happy there.
Oh. A 3, a 6, a 3. And do you want me to put these down or shuffle?
One more.
One more shuffle?
Yeah. Stop.
Just there?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
A 6, a 3, and a 7.
Right.
What if I was to tell you, right, that one of these cards, right here, that you've completely randomly shuffled to, the pair card is that card face down in the middle? What is the odds of that happening alone are quite magical, right?
Right.
What if I was to further tell you that whichever one of these 3 cards you choose, no matter how free that choice might feel, it will be the card that's reversed in the middle of that packet.
Okay.
It will be. So if you choose the 3, it will be the 3 of diamonds. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's just a free choice.
Okay.
So, what do you want?
I'm going to go for the 6.
The 6 of spades. Now, I have to check, just for fun, did that feel like I influenced you in any way? Like I pointed here to try and push you somewhere else?
No, that's
It
totally
genuinely
free choice.
felt like free
100%.
choice. And I'll give you 5 seconds, just in case you want to change your mind. You don't have to, but just 5 seconds I'll give you, just in case you really do want to go for that 3 or that 7. 5. No, I'm going to count. All right? Chan Canasta paved the way, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're going to change or stick?
Stick.
And there, just like that. I gave you the choice. Don't forget I gave you the choice. There's one card reversed in this packet in the center here. Do you want to take it out? Put it just there and show them.
There you go.
And there you have it.
That's great, then.
So this is an impromptu trick I call Ménage à Trois. And I love the name as well because it's cheeky. And it implies a 3-way out that we're employing here. We're setting up on the fly. And you can apply this. I think this is more of a tool that I'm teaching here because you can kind of apply this in your own way. I like this Chan Canasta style way of getting into the trick and out of the trick. But effectively, no matter which card you would point to, I can make that card be the card in the center of the packet. That's what's beautiful here. So let me, I'm going to break down the setup. So there's a few other sneaky cards turned over here. In this case, the other pairs to the cards. Super simple to set up from a shuffle deck, okay? All we do is we look for a pair of cards that is the same color and preferably together. So, or near each other. So for example, here I see the 2 black kings. There's one here and one on the face. So I can pull that king together like this, okay? And all we're going to be doing is cutting between those paired cards. So no matter what the pair is, if you find 2 cards that are the same color together, like the 2 tens, for example, or the 2 kings here, you just cut between them. Now, if I want to start the effect with the spectator shuffling, I'll just bring as many pairs together as I possibly can. So for example, I have a 10 here, I'll look through for the other 10, and I'll put them together. I have a 3 here, I'll look for the other 3, and I'll put them together. There's a 5 here, I'll look for the other 5, and I'll bring them together. And I'm just bringing pairs together because I know if the spectator overhand shuffles, the likelihood is one of those pairs will absolutely stay together, and I can cut between them immediately and set that up. So in this case, I've just cut between the 2 black kings. And now all we have to do is to look at the color and the value of the next 2 cards next to the one on the face, no matter what they are. So in this case, a black jack and a red jack. And all I'm doing is I'm spreading the deck, and I'm looking for a black jack and a red jack. So any jack I come to, the black jack's here, I cull, and then I'm immediately looking for the next one. And again, we're just culling those 2 cards to the back. And now we're set for the trick. We have 3 cards on the top and 3 cards on the bottom that are matching. It doesn't matter of the order, okay. So let's say black 10, black 5, and black 4. We're going to go for black 10, black 5, and black 4. There they are. Does that make sense? So that's so unlucky, isn't it, for demonstration purposes? Anyway, what's happening here is I've now put those 3 pairs to the top or bottom. If you cut about half, I can now get him to control those cards on top by simply directing you to pick up the half and take maybe 3 or 4 cards. And I'm literally showing like this, so he's going to copy me. 3 or 4 cards, I just drop them to the table. Now in this instance, he took 4 cards, so I know that those top 3 cards are the paired cards, and this one's an indifferent one that I'm going to get rid of later on. So you just remember how many cards are there. And I say, go ahead, take them up from the middle, put them on the top if you like, or on the bottom. Yeah, exactly, mix them. So now, whilst they're shuffling these, all I'm going to do is put these in order of ascension, you know, from lowest to highest. So I've got the 4, the 10, and the 5. So I'm going to swap these over so it's 4, 5, 10. So they're going up in terms of lowest to highest. Under the table, this is the satisfying setup. So simple. You take those 3 cards, and you're going to down jog this next card, and you're going to flip these 3 cards face down here. And now you're going to lift up on this in-jog card, and what that will allow you to do is to slip one of those cards underneath, pick up half and put the next one, and pick up everything but one and put the next one. And you're now loading, very quickly loading those 3 cards into position. You've got 1 in the middle, one close to the face, one close to the back. So we're loading these in order that I know from bottom up it's low, medium, high value. Now this is the secret to no matter what cards are chosen, I can get those cards into play. And I'm just going to go through the variations quickly now because this is really sneaky. What I do here is I do a block push off to hide that one at the face. So I'm pushing a clump of cards to hide that one. As I reveal this one in the middle, I'm counting 2 cards to the left and I'm in-jogging that card so that when I square up and I place the cards down, I have a little step at the back. What this will allow me to do is to do a turnover pass if I need to bring that high card into play. So we're going to do all the variations in a second, I'll show you, but that's how that packet sits. Now remember we have an indifferent card on the bottom, so I'm going to sneakily slip shuffle that card. I'm going to slip shuffle it in the example I give, and I've now removed that card so that now the next 3 cards are the force cards. So all I'm doing is slip shuffling each of these cards. As they say stop, I place this down, I slip shuffle again, place it down, and I'm just retaining each one on the bottom of each packet, so they're the ones that come into play. So now I know I don't need to use any memory work. I know this is the low value, the medium, and the high. So in the center of the packet is the medium value already there, so that's the 5. The low card is near the bottom, and the high card is near the top. So for example, let's say they choose the 10, the high card. I've got this step here. I'm going to pick up this packet, and I'm going to lift up on that step to get a break here like this. And now all I have to do if I expose this is to do a turnover pass like this. And now I can push fairly from the face. There's going to be nothing that shows until I get to one face down card, which will be the 10. And in every single scenario, we always have the same setup. And that is in that the next face down card is 2 cards away. So I know that if I spread 2 cards, the other one will show, which is now how I hide it. So I spread through. As soon as I see that face up card, I can up jog it. I can push 1, and I now know that I need to do a block push off to hide that. And I can spread through, and the other one is second from the top. So I can spread through, and I can block push off everything apart from that last one. So at speed, it looks like I show everything fairly. This is what it looks like. I go like this, and I go like this. Okay, and I'm just kind of apparently showing all the cards, and then I let them take it out and turn it over. So that's the high card revelation, and that's the card that sits towards the top of the pack. The low card revelation is the worst one because I have to pick up the packet, I have to do a block push off, and I have to get a break above this indifferent card here because the low card is near the face, you see. So in doing that, I would basically have to spread through again to get the break and then do a turnover pass. As I then, the same sequence applies. It will be face up, there's 2 cards between, and I push to the end. It's the exact same display each time, right? But it's the weakest one because I'm having to turn the packet over, spread first, and then do the move, right? Now the way I get this out is I use it as the example. Because it's the weakest one, I say, look, so for example, if you choose this 4, it will be the other 4. So I go for it myself, and they never will. They just never will. So I'm giving myself the best case scenario to ramp up the naturalness of the revelation. So quickly just going through, the last display is the medium value, which is in the middle, which is ideal scenario. So this one, the medium value, the 5. Again, all I'm doing is block pushing, spreading, up jogging, going to the end and pushing again, and then having them take it out and turn it over. Now what's most satisfying here is the cleanup as well after the revelation, because I have a card face down here and a card face down here. All I'm going to do towards myself, if I necktie so they can't see, I'm going to slip this card off. I'm going to down jog this card like we learned in Manifest and flip everything over. I'm going to slip this off, down jog, and turn it over. So as I'm playing with the cards, I've now cleaned up. But thank you. That's any questions? That's pretty much everything to Menage a Trois. It's a 3-way out in a packet. You can play with it just with a turnover pass. I'm not particularly proficient with a turnover pass, and so I like to cover it with a display at my side. So I go from this position to turning the deck here to then show. I'm trying to make it easier for everyone to see, but really, it's just giving me the opportunity to do that sneaky move, but whilst I'm in motion, you know. If you really want to learn the ins and outs of the turnover pass, I think Andrew Frost, my good friend, he's probably got one of the most invisible ones I've ever seen or ever not seen. So I recommend checking his stuff out. I like to cover stuff with conversation and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. So I'm happy to admit that I'm not the best at that. But anyway, that's Menage a Trois. I hope you take it away and have some fun with it. Thank you so much for joining me, Tony, as well.
Thank you.
Thanks for everyone watching. I think that's pretty much it. I think if we have time for one last quick thing, I've got a force. There was one last thing on the page that I wanted to show. It's a quick force that you can do of any playing card, and it's really seemingly impromptu. So let's say you choose one of these. So I'm going to put, that's the card I'm going to force. This is the kind of trick that you could do for an impossible card location, for example. Would you mind, Pierre, again, because you're up and active. Do you want to come and join me quickly? Thanks, mate. So, again, I'll tell you what, we'll have something chosen randomly, because if I ask you to think of a card, some cards are psychologically more favorable than others. People tend to go for the same ones. So we'll do this in such a way that you can't even know what you're going to get. So look, I'll look away, I'm shuffling. In fact, just pull like a bunch of cards from the middle. Small bunch of cards is fine. Like, even whilst you count those cards and remember your number, just count how many cards you have. I'll keep shuffling, right?
Yep.
Have you done that?
Yep.
So you know how many cards?
Yep.
So you have now a number in mind, and we'll shuffle these all together. I'm going to get you to use this number to get the card in mind. So just take the cards, and just from the face, just secretly count them, and just remember the card that falls at the number you're thinking of. And that's now like a raffle, right? It's just random, everything's in motion. You've already done it.
Yep.
Shuffle again. So this, I just want you to know that I can't know what is where. And now I've forced that card. You think it's 7 of clubs?
7 o'clock.
That's the one. So, but it's so easy. This is so easy. And what I've done is I've taken one of the procedures that Ramon Riobu has taught. It's called in the bluff. This is called within the bluff because I'm using his concept. But I'm doing it without doing it from the top of the pack. I'm doing it from the face of the pack, which I find is way more quick and natural and in his hands. In the original, the spectators counted them like this, and it's just a little bit more fiddly. Okay, and I do like this procedure as well, but for this particular thing, I want it to just feel like it's in motion all the time. So I'm forcing the 7 of clubs in this case, but it doesn't matter what the card is, it's just going to be the card on the bottom of the deck. So you might start, let's say if I wanted to form the ace of spades, you might start with that in a palm, and you might get them to shuffle the deck, so shuffle as much as you want. And you can just bring this card in and immediately onto the bottom of the pack. That's a great shuffle. And I tell you what, just grab, so now I'm loading that card. You see, loading it. As I say, just grab a bunch of cards and count how many you have, and that will be your number. And now I've loaded it, I'm going to retain it with the slip shuffle. So I'm the whole time it stays on the bottom, but it feels like everything's constantly being shuffled. Have you got a number in mind?
Yep.
Now I'm taking back the number that he's got, and I'm putting it directly underneath the force card. And now I'm just going to do a slip shuffle. I'm going to remove one card, which will put that card at his number. So this card here, the 6, I'm slipping off into the shuffle, so I'm taking it away. And now I make a mistake. I make a verbal mistake. So I'm shuffling and saying, so look, you've got a card in mind. Sorry, not a card, the number. So I've made a mistake, and it gives me an excuse to stop the shuffle and place this back to the bottom. Because if I just naturally, so I'm set for it, if I just went, so you've got this in mind, and I threw these back to the bottom, it feels wrong. So I'm giving myself the opportunity to say, you know, you've got a card in, sorry, not the card. Now I stop the shuffle, you see? And I can put this back and hand it to him, and it's going to feel natural. So I make a verbal mistake, and I correct myself, and that just flies by. Like, they don't see it, they don't feel it. There's nothing awkward, nothing unnatural. And so now your number, the card will be at that position, because I've literally added the packet and removed one. So yeah, Ramon, I think it's the first trick that he put in his Thinking the Impossible book, in the bluff. It's amazing magician fooling force procedure, but this is turning it on its head and just using it from the face of the pack, which I feel has more fluidity. And that's it. Thanks very much. I just thought I'd leave you with a force. And yeah, thank you so much for having me at the Magic Circle. It's been an absolute pleasure.